Welcome to 6-3. This is solving quadratic equations by factoring. We're going to learn how to solve quadratic equations by factoring and write quadratic equations given roots. So let's start with the zero product property. The idea is that anything times 0 is 0. So if we have x plus 5 and x minus 7 equals 0, then either x plus 5 or x minus 7 equals 0, or both. So we can set each of them equal to 0, solve for x, and that is our answer. So our example, we have x squared equals 6x, that's our original equation. We're going to subtract 6x from each side by factoring to get over to the left. Then we're going to factor out the x to get x times x minus 6. Then we're going to use the zero product property, which means we can separate them and set them each equal to 0. And then we can solve the equation. So we have x equals 0. We can solve the second equation. We get x equals 6. So our answers are 0 and 6. Next one, we have the original equation, 2x squared plus 7x equals 15. We're going to subtract 15 from each side to get everything on one side. Then we're going to factor the trinomial, so we get 2x minus 3, x plus 5. We're going to use the zero product property to separate them. Then we're going to solve each equation. We get x equals negative 5 and x equals 3/2. So our solution set is negative 5, 3/2. Right. Example 2 is our double root. So here we have our original equation. We can factor it. It's a perfect square trinomial, so it's x minus 8, x minus 8. We can use the zero product property. Solve each equation. We get x equals 8. So there's only one solution here. It's just 8. Next one, greatest common factor. So there is a GCF in here. So we're going to first factor out the 3. Then we get x squared minus x minus 20. And we can factor the trinomial. So we get x minus 5, x plus 4. We can use the zero product property to set each of those equal to 0. 3 will never equal 0, so we don't even have to include it. X minus 5 equals 0, x plus 4 equals 0. Solve each equation, we get 5 and negative 4. Alright, next one, write an equation given the roots. An equation typically is x minus p, x minus q, where p and q are your factors. So we're going to replace them with 1/2 and negative 5. And then we're going to distribute here. So we get x times x, x times 5, negative 1/2 times x, negative 1/2 times 5. And we get x squared plus 9/2 x minus 5/2 equals 0. That's it for quadratic equations. Good luck on the practice.